Today we're going to be reviving my 1969 Resto Mod muscle car. Looks like it would be great and running fine, but it's got some problems. So we're going to hammer out all the kinks today, make sure that it is a reliable Resto Mod. That's the whole purpose of a Resto Mod. It's supposed to be reliable, fun, fast, not breaking down every 5 seconds, but this car will beg to differ. So let's hammer those out and let's rip it.
Okay, so I'm out here, I'm helping Noah install a new starter. So right here, that is his old one, this hunky dunky, weighs like 75 pounds. Our friends over at Jegs sent us out a really nice new lightweight one, and Noah is currently tangling with it to get it installed. So there it is. How you doing down there?
Well, I got a socket stuck on the bolt, but it's on, so it's so much smaller. It's much easier to get to everything.
Yeah, that thing looks tiny and it looks easy to connect.
Also shiny too.
Shiny, it looks like it's easy to connect those wires.
Well, hello there. I'm just adding a new lightweight heavy-duty starter that's good up to like 14 to 1 compression, some nonsense like that. And we're putting it in, so much smaller, it's much lighter. You know what? We're saving weight, which means we go faster. But I need to redo some of the wiring. I need a wire stripper.
Sorry. Okay, so it's crimped on there. Now just use a little bit of fire. Get that heat shrink nice and shrunk. You're good to go. You could probably just connect that wire and crank the motor.
Pretty much. Every once in a while, not too often, it's very rare that you'll need a chode screwdriver. And that's what this is right here. This is your average sized screwdriver that could get jobs done when space is limited. As you can tell, I don't have enough room for a normal screwdriver. I barely have enough room for this. And it basically allows me to tighten that.
Damn, shout out to the little guy.
Okay, so my Chevelle, which may look super great on camera, it is the epitome of the game Whack-A-Mole. Because every time something breaks, I fix it, and the moment I fix it, the next problem arises. So let me explain. Obviously we had the oil leak problem, which lasted a very long time. Finally figured it out after changing pretty much every gasket imaginable from the top end that you possibly can do. I did. Then, is the moment that was fixed, the starter started acting weird. The starter that's always given me no problems, all of a sudden started grinding. So I got a new, lightweight, little mini starter. Fit that right in there, and then the moment that's in, my water pump, my nice shiny chrome water pump, started leaking, and it's got a little weep hole on it, and it basically leaks out of it the moment that, you know, the seals start going bad. So, got myself a brand new water pump, and this was like an AC Delco one. It was only like 27 bucks, something like that. The chrome looks nice, but I'm not spending 200 bucks for a water pump. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Especially because this motor is not going to be in here forever. You know, we're gonna go with something much bigger later on. I gotta swap this in there so it's draining all the coolant out right now, which is brand new coolant because I just did a flush recently. But this car is badass. Unfortunately, when you beat the shit out of your cars, they break. Now, you know, luckily, old cars are relatively very easy to work on. So it's nothing too major. It's all pretty much inexpensive, cheap to work on. So we're gonna hammer out some of these problems, and then we're gonna go beat up on the car again. Hopefully it doesn't break.
So we're just about done draining it out of the radiator, then we'll be pulling this bad boy off and just swapping it out.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
See the weep holes right there? That's where it's leaking from.
So what does that mean when it leaks out of there?
That little weep hole, when that starts leaking, it means your water pump is on its way out. The seals are basically breaking, allowing it to seep past it. Basically a little indicator of, hey, it's time to fucking change out your water pump.
Yeah.
So before I knew it, Lenny's already taken over, and he's already got the water pump all lubed up and ready to go, so...
I got all the gasket surfaces clean, dry, RTV.
Yeah, so you gotta put some RTV around the gaskets on both sides. Otherwise, you will leak 100%. And Lenny knows best because he's done, how many? 20,000 water pumps before?
Too many times.
And he's never had a single one leak before.
So, you're saying that, I know it's gonna happen. This was my first one.
I'm sure we're gonna get a comment saying, that's the wrong way to do it. You can't do it that way. Okay, well, never had a leak before, so...
Just because you said we never had a leak before, this one's gonna leak.
Yeah, I know, that's the problem. So, I do miss the chrome because, you know, chrome gets you dome, and this engine bay, I have been slowly adding more chrome to. Chrome, aluminum, all that shit. Just shiny metal stuff. And now we're back to the cast iron look. But it's fine because this motor is a motor that's strong, stout, somewhat reliable. I mean, it hasn't blown up. Even with the twin turbos and all the crap we've done to it and abuse, it's still running strong, good compression in all cylinders, but it doesn't make enough power. I want just absolute thunder, rolling thunder power. I want to be able to shake the ground with the engine revving. And that I will get eventually when I have more money. But for now, I'm a little bit spread a little too thin across all the cars. We have a lot of projects. We have another project coming out very soon that we're going to introduce to you. And I know you're thinking, what, another project? There's too many projects. I agree. There's way too many projects. But we are actually getting rid of cars. So as you know, the Beetle we sold late last year. We sold the Corvette a while ago. We just picked up the new Mustangs. We got 2 Mustang GTs. The T-Bird is going to go. I'm selling that car. It's completely done. I've owned that car for over 2 years now, which, believe it or not, is the longest I've ever owned a car. I've always had a lot of pieces of shit, and I've always hopped around. The T-Bird has always been one of my favorite cars. It's just so nice and fun to drive, and it's time to let go because I've got nothing left to do to the car. I will return to the T-Bird. I will buy another T-Bird one day, and I will do a Coyote swap or something really cool, but I'd rather do it to something a little more unoriginal. I just can't butcher up that car. It's just so perfect right now. I don't want to do that. It's not right. But for now, as soon as that T-Bird is sold and I get my money out of it, I could put more money into the Mustang, supercharger on the Mustang, and I could get a much stronger engine for the Chevelle. This engine will still burn tires, so you know what? It's got its power. I'm also thinking about changing out the wheels. I like this style of wheel, but it's got like a 20-inch in the back, and I think it's just way too big. And I'm not a big fan of these tires. I think they need more meat on them. So there's a lot that's gonna be going into this car soon. Okay, so now that we've got all the maintenance taken care of, for now, it's time to do a fun mod. We got some racing seats we're gonna put in because right now it's got the bench seat. Now, bench seats are great for certain things, but when you're driving hard in a car and you go and you make a turn, there's nothing holding you in, so you just kind of hit the door and you flop around. So I have racing seats that I'm gonna put in. Let's do that. We gotta get this big ass bench seat out of the car first. I have brackets, so we're not gonna build custom brackets like we did with the Mustang race car.
We hope not.
We hope not. I bought brackets for this, so it should be like literally a bolt-on thing. So let's see how easy it is. Okay, so look how much room is in this car when the seats are gone. So we got race seats that we're gonna put in, so we're gonna have a lot more room. So maybe I'll make a center console or something, but look how much room there is. These seats, these rear seats are so comfy. This is what's awesome, having a big ass muscle car. They're just fun. They're just so great. But now we gotta rip up the carpet and figure out if there's holes to put the brackets. So because it was a bench seat, it just had the 4 bolts all around. These brackets, we need 4 bolts on each seat. So previously, many years ago, when I originally bought the car and redid a lot of shit, I put down kill mat insulation, and knowing myself, I probably put it down over the holes. So I gotta dig through and see if I could find the holes so we can put the brackets in.
Let's see. So this is some of the hardware.
There we go. Okay, now I know I bought the eBay special. You know, I could spend a fortune on seats, or I could spend a fortune on the motor. And I'd rather my money go towards a better motor. So I bought cheap seats. Hey, you know what? They look pretty cool.
Dude.
We put basically the same seats inside of our Mustang, and they work. They get the job done. They don't rip. They're not the cheapest seats you could buy, but they're pretty cheap. They're not any name brand crazy stuff.
Red Alcantara. This thing is nice,
This
dude.
is not Alcantara. This is like micro suede.
Hey.
But hey, it's super nice. It's super comfy. And I love Alcantara. I love real suede, but it's a bitch to fucking clean. This, you know, when you got 2 dirty monkeys like us sitting in the seats, you don't want nice suede.
So
You want something that you can wash.
best part is we have the canvas carbon fiber right here.
We got the canvas carbon fiber.
That's how you know it's an eBay special.
Yeah.
All right, let's put these in the car.
Yeah, but these seats, I got the same ones inside the Mustang, and they've held up really well. So, you know what? They'll work for us now.
Well, this custom Chevelle bracket does not fit this seat. So we had to drill some custom holes. I already did one right here. And as you can see, I marked it with black Sharpie right there. So, drill 2 holes. I mean, that's a lot easier than having to weld and cut a bunch of shit. So let's,
Yeah, the seat brackets we made for this car, we made out of scrap metal. So it's completely custom. This is a whole lot easier. But unfortunately, since this is a bench seat car, there's no bolts right here. It's right there. You just have a bolt here, a bolt there, and then there and there. So we're basically setting everything up, making sure everything fits. Then we're gonna put the brackets, bolt them to the existing holes, and then mark 2 holes and drill 2 new holes and put bolts through them. And yeah, that way we can have the seats in the car.
There we go. 1 seat down, driver's seat, most important seat. Oh.
dude, that suede matches perfectly with this suede right here.
And kind of with the suede steering wheel. So yeah, it's pretty straight. I got access to the pedals, steering wheel. All that really matters. I mean, it holds me tight now, which is important, especially because we're turning this thing into a fucking burnout machine. So, you know, I need to be able to, you know, stay in the car when we do donuts.
Yeah. Question is, does it close at the door?
It sure does.
No problemo.
Okay, so second seat is now in the car. And when I bought these seats, I thought they're gonna look kind of tacky and whatever, but I couldn't have the bench seat anymore. I needed something that held me tightly. And these seats do it. This isn't a sponsored thing. I actually paid for these seats, and they are the eBay special. And I don't even know what the company is. It's Rocker, something like that, but it's the same ones we put in the pink Mustang, the race car Mustang. And I give them, you know, for the price, a 10 out of 10. They work, they held up. I love the fact that this cheap fake suede, it's like micro suede, is the same as my dash, because this is the suede I put in like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it legitimately matches exactly. Like, it's the same manufacturer.
Yeah, and I love it because it's soft, it's nice, it gets hot here, and it's not like the leather or vinyl that's burning your skin. And it's easy to clean, because, you know, I'm a dirty monkey. I get in, I get the car all dirty sometimes, so it's nice, it's easy to clean. This is the build. This is what we gotta do. Okay, so on to the next problem. Our alternator is giving us issues. And, you know, that's one of those things that came with the car when I bought it over 2 years ago. I never replaced it. Practically, I've replaced like everything else. So hopefully this is the last thing I gotta do. But basically, yeah, when I was driving home just now, I got stuck in a parking lot. Lenny had to come save me and jump it because the alternator's no longer charging the battery. So anyways, if we look, we got the alternator right there. Chrome, looks good. Luckily, Lenny just upgraded his alternator. His old one, perfectly fine. He just needed more amps because he's got so many electrical components in his car drawing power. And yeah, we got an extra alternator on hand. So I could swap that out and solve the problem. But first, just to confirm, I'm gonna go try to start up the car again, and then we're gonna use a multimeter and read and figure out what's going on. Now, I have read the gauge inside the car. I have read my little Phytech system has a gauge built in. I've got 2 gauges saying that, hey, you know, it's running at like 9.8 volts, and I'm like 99.9% sure that the alternator is done and it's time for a replacement. The belt looks a little worn too. Let's replace this.
Okay, I already attached the multimeter on the car right here, and we're at 12.2 volts. So, I mean, that's in range right there. But go ahead, start up the car. Let's see if it will even start. Yeah, so it just doesn't want to crank. So look at that. So after 1 crank, we're down to 9. It was about 9. Now it's going back up to 12 after the fuel pump stopped priming. Give it again. Yeah, so it's like completely dead. I have the jumper hooked up right now. Oof. She's dead. Jumper's hooked up. Try it again. And even the jumper's not working anymore.
Okay, so basically all our tests are showing that the alternator is bad. So now we're gonna replace it with Lenny's extra alternator. Luckily we have that on hand. So now I just gotta get this thing out of here. It's super easy because there's only 2 bolts for an alternator.
2 bolts and 2 wires.
Yeah, pretty simple. Get this piece out, and then Lenny's got a black one. I honestly do prefer the chrome, but
I mean, this is
beggars can't be choosers.
This is some old crappy chrome though.
Yeah, I know. Okay, here we go. So this, it's super hot. This is the old alternator. So I'm probably gonna take this to a store to get it checked, because if it isn't broken, then we got other problems to deal with, and no need to get rid of a perfectly working alternator. But my bet is it's probably all fucked up.
So here is my old one. Nice and black. And it's 110, so we'll throw this on and see what happens.
Luckily, if anything is gonna go wrong, alternators are the best thing to possibly go wrong because of how easy they are to install. No gaskets, no waiting for the RTV to cure. It's just bolt on and connect 2 wires, and you're pretty much good to go.
Simple shit.
The question is, what's next to break? I'm pretty sure we've dialed in pretty much everything, so we're gonna have to give it some good test runs. So far on this car, I mean, the brakes, I put in the Willwood disc brakes and had some problems initially, but those brakes are great. 4-piston disc brakes up front compared to the drums that the car originally had. It's great. It still has the rear drums, but they do its job.
Oh, that sucks.
What?
It's a different connector, so we're gonna have to cut and solder it. It's a different type of connection. So instead of stacked connectors, these are side by side.
Well, there goes our 1-wire connection. So we may have a solution. So a problem I had was with the fuel injection. The system works great, but it needs a good connection on the tack wire. So back there, I had some terrible connections on my tack wire. So I bought one of these little things, just a little pigtail, to basically make it a much sturdier connection so that I would never have any problems. Once I solved that, the fuel injection never had a single problem. But when I bought it, because I bought it on Amazon, it came with 2. So since we have an extra one, this thing, I know it's not the perfect right connection, but it does connect perfectly into the alternator. So if we just cut and solder those wires, that connector will work perfectly.
So this thing goes in, and if you just kind of push it in hard, that's not coming out, and that fits on perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, that's tighter than the other connection. So
probably.
I guess that's what we're off to do.
Mickey Mouse. Always the simplest of jobs that get turned into a lot longer jobs, because God forbid they use the same wire connector on all alternators. Okay, so the new alternator is in. It's wired up. We've got 12 volts on the battery. Hopefully no wires got switched around. I think we're in the clear. It's very simple. So now we need to jump it. Once it's jumped, we'll see what the voltage reads when the car's running, and hopefully we're all good to go to start driving it again. But if this doesn't fix it, we got to dive a lot deeper into the wiring in this car, because something is clearly wrong. All right, we just hooked up the jumper again. Let's see if it cranks over. No, I'll fire it up. Okay. Hold on. We resorted to just good old-fashioned jumper cables. All right, started up the car, let it run for a little bit, and then he's gonna try to start up this car.
I need to put this motor in this car.
Yeah, that would be a lot better.
Okay.
Go try to crank it. You might have to wait a little bit.
Yeah, I gotta wait a little second. So here's the update. Since we got the car running, it started dropping volts like crazy, so we decided to move it back into the driveway. But basically what's happening is, even the new alternator, brand used alternator, but it was working. It worked fine in Lenny's car, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the alternator. 2 alternators still having the same problem. While the car's running, it's dropping volts fast. So this leads me to believe maybe the battery's bad. Now, I've swapped this battery out at AutoZone like 50 times. I mean, it is the cheapest one they have, but they warranty it. So I'm gonna take it to them and see if they could test it. And then if they say that the battery's bad, then it's the battery.
It's a freaking value craft, man.
It's a value craft battery. So that's basically what we got to take to AutoZone, see what they say about it. They'll test it and tell us if the battery's bad. But if the battery's bad, that would explain a lot of our issues. So we'll have to find out. So you know how it goes, 2 steps forward, a million steps backwards. Basically, my starter was skipping a little bit, the new one, and I think it's because I didn't torque them down all the way. I kind of, hand torque them. You're not supposed to do that. When you put a new starter in, you gotta torque it to the spec. Now, the usual spec that I know of is 35 foot-pounds. Apparently, on the instructions from the starter that I received, it's 32 foot-pounds. So I went underneath the car to torque it down, and unfortunately, I kind of over-torqued it. And I think the problem was, I think it bottomed out because I didn't have a washer on it. And it kind of broke the bolt, the starter bolt, inside of the block. So that's not good. So we had to pull the header off again. As you can see, we had to pull the header off again. And basically, Lenny's drilling a hole right now into that bolt. And then I'm going to use a bolt extractor and try to get that bolt out. So, yeah, this is really, really shitty. This is not what you want happening ever. Probably one of the worst bolts to break. So, there's really no Mickey Mousing around this. There's nothing you could do. You need those 2 bolts in for the starter to work. So, we're gonna try to get it out, and hopefully we'll be all good. So we got the starter up here. Lenny's using the tap right now.
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Oh, dude, I think it just snapped. The extractor tool just
You
snapped.
broke the extractor inside the thing?
Yeah, you gotta get.
Okay, we're fucked. We're fucked. No! This is not what I want. This is not good at all. Fuck. This is...
Gotcha, bitch.
No fucking
Gotcha,
way.
bitch.
He fucking did it. I was gonna do it. I didn't know you fucking... Okay. I mean, I'm happy.
Hey, dude, I hammered that bitch in with my genius extension idea. Because you can't hammer this. It's super close to the block.
Oh, here, hand it to me. Look at that. He fucking got it. This is the broken piece of the starter bolt. You know what? I may break the car, but luckily I've got a Lenny to fix it. So, if you don't have a Lenny, you can find one at your local auto store.
Fuck yeah, let's get this fucking thing back in.
Okay, now we gotta reassemble everything, put everything back, so. Everything's good. We got a brand new battery in because the old battery was dead, but I'm thinking the car keeps killing the battery because this is like the 3rd battery this year, so 2024. So we keep putting new batteries in. Luckily, they're under warranty. Now, we still are not reading any volts.
Okay,
but we think we figured out the problem.
Right as we fix one problem, we're not making this up, dude. We found another problem. Look, so I unraveled this wire loom, and you're gonna tell me that's a good connection right there? I don't fucking think so. So we gotta cut this apart and resolder this wire. This is a mess. When I bought this car, the stock wiring was just like awful. It was horrendous. So a lot of the wiring I've replaced. I didn't get a whole new wiring kit or anything, but all the wires have been swapped out, especially inside the car, all that wiring, because I put special gauges in it. So a lot of those wires have been swapped out. Now I've put a lot of wires. This is something I'm not very proud of. This rat's nest right here, but this powers all kinds of things like my headlights and, you know, the electric fans and all kinds of other shit. Oh my gosh.
But the stock wiring right here is pretty much the very minimal amount of wiring we still have left.
Dude, the story just keeps getting better and better. I unraveled some more tape. First of all, if you're ever wiring anything in a car, never use these connectors. These are one of the worst things you could possibly use.
Yeah, those ones are crap.
So we need to replace all 3 of these. Yeah. These are all 3 probably causing problems. So this is terrible.
I hate those connectors because they're plastic and they become brittle and fall apart. And then
the crimp
often, yeah, and then the crimp comes loose. And if it wasn't crimped correctly, just solder your damn wires. Just do it the right way. Solder it and put some heat shrink wrap over it. That's the proper way to do it. I know you look at these wires and, you know, my wiring's messy, but that's because it's temporary. It'll get fixed eventually. We all know that. Okay, here's the update. We swapped out the alternator back to Lenny's Jag. Started up, it worked. Back into here, made sure all the wire connections were good, and it actually worked. And at the end of yesterday, we got the car running. I took the car out this morning. It was charging, everything was working, and then all of a sudden, it stopped charging. And once again, we're back in the same problem. The alternator is no longer charging the battery. Same exact wiring, same exact everything. I don't know what it could possibly be now. I mean, my mind is just like completely stumped. Okay, we've come to the conclusion that the Chevelle is killing alternators right now. So we got Lenny's new alternator. This is the 3rd alternator in the last 48 hours. So that's Lenny's new alternator we have back in this car. It is now charging again. As you can tell, we are bypassing the wires that are built into the car. We basically just have a wire going straight to the battery, this blue wire to charge the battery, and then for the exciter wire right there. So no stock wiring. This is a 1-wire alternator. So we're just doing it like this so that it hopefully doesn't somehow kill the alternator again. But let's go drive the car, final little test, see, have we hammered out all the major kinks with the car? Hopefully, but probably not. There's probably gonna be something else, and we will find out shortly.
And hopefully we don't get stranded on the side of the road. All right, let's go. Let's get out of here.
Currently test driving the car to make sure that everything's running right, but I'm not getting any volts. I got 10 volts right now. Here, I'll show you.
Okay, we just took the car out on a test drive, and at first, it was charging. Everything was working. We had like 13.8 volts at idle. It looked great. It's a brand new alternator. We just pulled it out of Lenny's car, but it was brand new, just put into his car. So we take it out, and then I'm probably 5 minutes in, I just see the voltage just slowly starts to drop. Then I hear the bell. Now, this is where it's getting tricky. So all of a sudden it's no longer charging, and you hear it squeal. My finger is burnt just from touching that belt. As soon as I parked it, I touched the belt to feel if it got loose, and it burned the shit out of my finger. So we think maybe the alternator's toast. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take it off. We're gonna take all the alternators that we have right now and go to the auto store and see if, you know, they're toast or not. But this is weird. I am just at a loss. I don't know what it possibly could be. But we're not gonna give up. We're gonna figure out this problem, because that's what this car is all about. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna fix it. But right now I don't know what the fuck I don't know what to do. Okay, so the alternator mystery sort of continues, but we have fixed it for now. The original OG alternator that was in this car is back in. We got it tested. So originally we got tested a few days ago, and the auto store said that it's bunk, it's done, it's dead. We took it again with the other alternators, and it tested again positive. And we found out that after calling 15 different auto stores, all of them said their machine was broken. And the ones that we did go to, none of them knew how to use the machine. So it's, yeah, you know, getting an alternator tested, it's not as easy as you would think. At least here, it isn't. So it's in, it's working right now. I can't give you a direct answer to why it's working, but it's working. So we're gonna go drive the car and test it once again, make sure everything's good. What I did do differently though is I basically created a really solid ground. Now, alternators are typically supposed to ground themselves, but I got a wire on the back going straight to the engine block, which then grounds to the battery. So we know for a fact it's grounded. That is completely eliminated from the list of things that could go wrong. Weather's good. It's kind of raining a little bit. It's drizzling. But let's go drive the car, see if it's all ready and good to go. Okay, well, we've gone through a lot with this car, and finally, the sweet taste of victory. It is back out on the road. It's running again, running somewhat reliably, and it's super fun. We have a lot more coming for it. We got suspension all the way around. We got a new exhaust system. We got a posi rear end. We got line lock coming. We are gonna turn this thing into an absolute burnout machine, just an absolute street ripper. So stay tuned.